Association, I think, yeah.
Most OB-GYN societies have endorsed it. It's really interesting in the sort of the politics of reproductive health, where they are somewhat behind and they're reluctant to take a more sort of forward-leaning stance on this, largely because of the abortion indication. That is one of the barriers.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. In the study, you mentioned that giving women this drug won't actually prevent them from coming to the facilities for delivery.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, will those women that who have already have antenatal clinic service visit, because you can give drugs to them, that means they have already sought service at facility-based hospitals.
So your question is the
My
methodology
question is,
of the research, is it really showing facility-based deliveries are not going down?
Right, I think the conclusion from this study may be questionable, because if we do the study in real world, give drugs to also those who have never visit doctors during their pregnancy period, so and see and compare the results. Maybe for those who have never visited a doctor due to pregnancy, that will giving them drugs will actually increase the number who deliver at home.
Yeah, I can show you the studies that have been done, and we can look again at sort of the research methodologies and try to get a better answer to your question. I guess all I can say at this point is they're disseminating today in Tanzania the results of the trial done in Tanzania, where they were giving it at health facilities and tracking whether how many of the women were coming back to facilities for delivery and how many delivering at home. So I think it was probably not addressing all of the issues that you're talking about, but we can discuss afterwards perhaps and relook at the studies that have been done. There's not a huge body of evidence behind this. There are a couple of studies that are giving indications that it doesn't actually reduce the percentage of women that are delivering in facilities. But there's not a huge body of evidence yet, and that's why there's still a lot of uncertainty and questioning at Ministry of Health level, because Ministries of Health have spent the last 15, 20 years trying to focus on increasing facility-based deliveries. And so there's a legitimate concern that they don't want to do anything that would undermine those efforts and encourage women to go back and start delivering at home. Nirali?
What is when you say that the WHO isn't on board yet, isn't recommending it, what is the desire that, the other people in Ethiopia were expressing? Because it's a third-line drug, right? So what do they want? What does the community want? They want it to become a first-line drug, or what is the...
Those in favor of wider use of community misoprostol want it because it has all these advantages over oxytocin. And you can't get oxytocin really to the community level. There's the Uniject, but you still have the cold chain problem. So there isn't any other option. And at facilities and hospitals, it still makes sense to use oxytocin because it's more effective than misoprostol. But what about the 70% of women that are delivering in lower level facilities or in rural areas at home? There's nothing. You can't get oxytocin out there. So.
And it's not widely, the MISO, if I understand your question, the MISO isn't out there either. So.
Well, but you're saying what would the qualification, what's the criteria? Do we want it to be...
What is the desire? What does WHO need to say to satisfy people? What is the...
Endorsing community use of misoprostol.
Endorsing community
it has to
use.
issue a technical statement or something, right?
Yeah.
It's the community use is the issue.
Yeah.
Whether it's safe,
there's no oxytocin,
whether it can be administered properly, whether it's not going to reduce facility-based delivery, whether women take it in the right dosage at the right time, are you killing women because they're taking it during delivery? So all of those questions are not conclusively answered. They're just pilots and studies that have been done, but not enough for WHO to endorse it. And what the community is saying is, listen, you know, we've got 5, 6, 7 studies on this that's all showing that the results are positive, that it's, you know, that it's being taken correctly by women, and it can be dispensed. Women can understand how to take it, when to take it, and it's not reducing facility-based deliveries. And while it may not be an overwhelming body of evidence yet, what the proponents say is, listen, this is enough for us because 350,000 women are dying every year, and we've got to do something. And the indication is that this could have a high potential for working. Krishna?
It's very similar to the debate about 5, 6, 7 years ago around male circumcision, where there was very strong ecological, observational, and other evidence, but we didn't have a randomized controlled trial. So WHO is attempting in every instance to promote the first-line treatment because there's also an equity argument there. Why should a woman who's sitting in rural Nigeria not have access to the same highest quality, most efficacious drug that an Irali can access in Washington, D.C.? But there's also the methodology issues that Dana touched on briefly.
I think without without WHO endorsement, it's really difficult, if not impossible, to get governments to agree to let programs like PSI promote it in this way.
Right.
That's
it's a huge
reasoning
barrier
behind
that
getting.
a lot of governments are heavily dependent and they rely on WHO guidance. And until WHO actually endorses or gives some sort of approval for it, it is difficult to get governments to agree. But more and more governments are. Uganda's doing a pilot. I think even without, if this pilot is successful, even without WHO endorsement, they'll probably roll it out. I'm guessing Tanzania will roll this out because they've done the pilot there. So I think the more we can try it in different countries and show that it can be done well, the governments themselves will get confidence that it can be distributed.
One important sort of regulatory and or policy nuance to remember in this is WHO is not actually a regulatory body. It's an advisory technical body. So they can recommend, but they don't actually endorse every single product. So they put out technical recommendations and guidelines, but it's very rare for them to endorse, per se.
Okay, we've got about 5 minutes. Let me just go quickly through some of the other interventions that we're working on.